Over £200 million spent by Chelsea on 5 new arrivals, and we'll get our first glimpse of this new-look Chelsea side at 8:15 at the Amex tonight. But does all that spending, Jamie, mean that Chelsea are now title contenders?
Not for me, no, because the spending has been at the top end of the pitch, and until they rectify the goalkeeping situation, I don't think Chelsea have any chance of winning the Premier League. You only have to look at Pep Guardiola's first season in England, Jurgen Klopp's first 18 months, until they signed goalkeepers, and they made the real difference. And if Chelsea sign a top goalkeeper, I think that will make a big difference. And also, to be fair to Chelsea and Frank, I think the expenditure in this summer is almost 3 or 4 transfer windows of money getting spent in one go in some ways. They had no, obviously, players last season they could buy. They've still got the Hazard money and the Morata money. So I think the stuff that they're talking about and how much that they've spent, it is club money in some ways, but until they change the goalkeeper, I don't think they've got any chance.
It is the second biggest Chelsea spend in a transfer window. Only Conte spent more. That was the summer after winning the title. It's the biggest in Europe as well, Gary. Would the owner not expect silverware for that kind of outlay?
No. He'll always expect silverware, Roman Abramovich, but I don't think he's the same Roman Abramovich that we saw maybe 10 years ago, where he was desperate, it felt like, and he was really ruthless and clinical to get what he wanted in terms of trophies. You always felt then there was a feeling from Roman Abramovich, even though we've never heard him speak about it, that he wanted football with flair and that he wanted a different type of approach, but he wouldn't compromise that in his search for trophies. So he always ended up going back to a more methodical approach, more mature approach, experienced teams. What he seems to have done now, I think, is bought into a longer process. He had fantastic academy players, academy teams for years. He's now giving Frank Lampard the ability, responsibility to be able to use them. He's obviously now investing in young players. I think what he would want to see is progression towards that top 2. What I would say about Chelsea this season is there's an element of we don't quite know what they're going to do. I mean, I don't know whether you think they can win. I don't think they can win the league, irrespective of whether they get a goalkeeper or not. But if you said to me about Manchester United, say, for instance, I feel Manchester United this season will not win the league. I think that's pretty certain. I think I can predict pretty much what they'll do. I think they will improve. They'll get closer to Chelsea, to Liverpool and City. They'll finish in the top 4. I think Chelsea, if you had to say out of them and United, which one could win the league, it could be Chelsea, because you just don't know what those young players are going to do. If they go and do that, they could really surprise everybody, but there's also a chance that they could do that. There's an element of the unknown with them, and I think that would be a massive opportunity. I think it'll excite Frank Lampard, but it'll scare him a little bit. How's Werner going to settle in? How's Havertz going to settle in? Ziyech going to settle in? How's Thiago Silva? Different end of the scale in terms of experience, but how is he going to adapt to English football? There's a lot of unknowns, I think, about the Chelsea squad that I think Frank Lampard will be excited by, but also a little concerned by.